Hello, everyone. This week's data number 4. This time, I like to check in, see the U.S. disability population. Someone told me that disability population is increasing in America, and I'm not sure that's the case. So let's take a look. Do you guys know this website, FRED, St. Louis, San Luis Fed.org? This is actually hosted by FRB, American Central Bank. It hosts a lot of different variety of data, like CPI, like inflation-related data, or like unemployment-related data. One of the data is, let's say, like disability, right? So if I search it, and then it returns disability-related data. So for example, let's take a look at this, the first one, a population with a disability 16 years and over. So if I click on that, yes, seems like increasing. So seems like disability is always a population is increasing, maybe like something to do with, the population itself is increasing. But it looks like kind of flattened now after like maybe 2016. And then obviously like after the COVID, and that went down. But somehow it started going up, and then this time went way further out there. It's not like going, went back to before the COVID. It's actually way higher. So this is concerning. And then let's make sure like what disability really means, right? So, means, depends on people, different things. So I'm going to go to the source website. This is US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then let's look at any definition that this page that has nothing to do with disability. So I'm going to just search it. Disability, maybe like it will give me some information here, and the person with disability, labor force characteristic, and so on. And here you go. So frequently asked question about disability data. So that sounds good. I mean, what I want to know is basically the definition of disability. And it's actually the first question helps. So how are people with disability identified in this population survey, community population survey? They ask these 6 questions. And for example, the first one is deaf, deaf or blind or physical, mental, emotional condition, and the serious difficulty walking and climbing stairs, difficulty dressing and bathing, and also that because of the physical, mental, emotional condition, do you have any problem going outside or doctor's office or shopping and so on. So in a nutshell, basically, it's that disability means physical condition, but also seems like a mental condition as well. Okay, so have that kind of like define what that disability is. I think it's still concerning. The number is increasing. Here's the thing: if you want to know about a disability population is increasing or not, you kind of already found that answer here. But what I want to do is here, when you scroll down, there's a civilian labor force with a disability, 16 to 64 women. And also another one, the civilian labor force with a disability, 16 to 64, same age group, men. So I want to know that if any difference between men and women, if there is, what kind of, how that difference. And again, what's the trend? When this trend started it, maybe not started it, at the same time. Those are a bunch of questions I have. So if I want to know only the woman, I can just click on it and then look at this chart. And then, oh my God, this is super scary. Like it's number is really increasing. But I want to know, I want to do is like combine those two, woman and man, and I want to compare, which one is getting worse on that stuff, right? It turned out it's very easy to get this data from the FRED service in Exploratory. So let's do that. So what do you need to do is go to this website, and then you got to create your account, and it's a free account. And then you can actually start using it by using the API key or whatever you can register in Exploratory. But once you do that, so you double click on, copy this ID. This ID is also as part of the URL address as well. And then go to the Exploratory here. And then click on the data frame plus button. And then one of the menus, it says Cloud Apps. So this FRED is considered as a cloud app in Exploratory. So click on that. I already have a FRED connection. If you don't, you want to click on the setup, and then you want to enter your key or ID information you get from the FRED service itself. Okay. And once you have that, then you can come here and then paste that ID. and then click run button. You don't have to fill this start end. If you don't, then the whole data gets downloaded. You can just limit that data if you don't need the whole years of the data. Here looks like I got the data. Basically, what I need is a date column and a value. This value means the number of the people. One thing we got to be careful though. This is what the unit, right? So it's like a 2,501. Does that mean like 2,501 people? What is a unit? So let's here, there's thousands of persons. So that means when this chart or this number says 2,000, it's not 2,000. It's actually this one here. One is 2,000, right? So that means this 2,000 is actually means 2,000 multiplied 1,000. So it's 2 million. So 2 million people, for example, here is actually, this is 2.5 million people. Okay, so that's a kind of a starting point. Anyway, so that I can just download it and then click save button. And then this is disability woman data. And I just downloaded it. And then from here, like I can just go to the chart view, and then this one's simple. I don't even need to do the data wrangling or anything like that. So I'm going to just assign the date column. And then what is this unit? I mean, like unit mean like what's the period? Frequency period is monthly. So I'm going to visualize it by months on the x-axis, and the y-axis, I'm going to assign the value. Okay, so this chart is basically similar to this chart. It's just the scale is different, but it's basically the same thing, right? So this part is cool, but what I wanted to do, you remember, I want to bring in, this is a woman's data. I want to bring in the men's data and compare those two. Okay, so what I can do is like two ways to do it. One is click on this plus button and then do the same thing, except this time you're going to use a different ID for the man. And then once you download that data, merge those two data together. But another way, which is actually simple, and I would recommend you do it, is click on this data source step. Right now, we have only one series ID, right? So, but here, when I go back to Fred service, and then what is man here? I'm going to click on this one. And then this is the ID for the men's data, men's disability data. So I'm going to copy it and then go back to exploratory. And then here, you just use a comma to separate. And then you can type in like two ID. If you have 3 or 4 data together, you want to bring them together all together, you can just by separating the comma and you just keep pasting those ID. So now this point, if I click on run button, what's going to happen is we now like downloaded both data, not just the female, but also the male as well. Okay, so I'm going to just click on the update button and see if we have both data. Like let's go to the summary view and make sure. See this here, series ID, we have like something end at the 6955 and the 6960. Okay, so we have both. And I'm going to change this data frame name because this looks like kind of confusing because it has male data as well. So here, woman and men. Okay, so this is kind of clear. Another thing is kind of confusing is here, like we have no idea which one is female or not. So go back to the FRB. This is 55 that ends with 55, that's man, right? So I'm going to change this label, replace values with new values. And then this, I have a memory problem here. So the 55 is male, men. So like I'm going to call it male, and then this is a female. Okay, and then just click run button. So now I have a new label, and then go back to the chart. And then this is one thing we have to be careful because charts currently the pin button is pointing to the source step. So that means if I, for example, bring in a color by, you know what, like I want to assign a series ID to separate these two lines, right? So now we have two lines, and one is for what? This kind of weird, I mean, like ID. And then that's why we don't have the female and male label. That's because this pin is still pointing the first step. So I'm going to move this to the second step. Now, see this here? Now we have the new label because we replace the ID with the male and the female, right? Okay, so here, now like we have two lines together, okay? So the orange color is a female and the male is a blue color. And that's kind of crazy. Number one, well, the number of the population is increasing. The number of the population with disability is increasing. And this is actually not like a newborn, like a baby is, born as a disability. This is from 16 to 64. right? So the people who have already mostly like been working, and it's all the Saturn, I don't know why, but it started becoming disability, having either like mental problem, emotional problem, or physical problem. And when this trend started, that's a kind of weird thing because see here, it's almost like this jump started from 2021 or something. I want to see like when this trend changed. In order to do that, like one way, it's pretty kind of nice way to do it is I'm going to just remove this series ID thing out. And then this one bar is actually like the value here is like a sum, is a total. So that means whatever the number you're seeing is this combined, like adding up like male and female, or like woman and man. And then instead of assign the sex to the color by or series ID to the color by, assign this date column. What I want to do here is like, I want to separate those lines by the year. And then right now, the default is now is like around 2 years. So that's why like you see like 2023, January 1st. So every year is rounded down to like January 1st. Okay. Another thing is you can use extract year. So it's basically doing the same thing, except you don't see those January 1st thing. Okay. And then like another thing I like to do is because what's happening here, right? So like, and obviously number one thing is maybe like a COVID, but then that's started 2020. So, so I'm not sure that COVID is the reason or not, but at least I want to give it color to the 2020, that's the year the COVID started. And then like another year, 2021, 22, 23. Okay. So what I can do is from the color menu, like I go to the color dialog. And then, what I want to do is select this something called highlight here, the highlight color palette. So what this one is going to do is set the default color, whatever the color you specify. Like for example, right now is a gray, and then you can pick and choose the particular color for a particular group. So in this case, for example, 2020, that's the year the COVID started. So like I'm going to give like, let's say like orange color or something. And then after that, like I'm going to give like a, red color, and then maybe, I'm going to just give red color for all the years after 2021. Okay, so what this is going to do is basically like you see here, all the years before the COVID is now in the gray color. Let's change that to maybe like a blue or something. It's maybe, oops, and then apply button, and then close that. And then now, so all the years in blue, and then like, this is COVID year. So I would expect if COVID is a reason, then disability should start going up from here. But however, 2021 is the year that somehow that started going up. But anyway, so now here, you remember this one combined male and female, right? So I want to actually separate and then see which one is more increasing. The problem is we already use year for the color. So how we can separate those two? Well, here we have a repeat by, right? So if we assign the series ID to the repeat by, then we can have the two different charts, one for the male, one for the female, right? So like I'm going to assign the series ID here. So now like we have two charts. Okay. So left-hand side, the female, right-hand side is the male. Okay, and then look at here, female, until the 2021, the number of the population with a disability for female never really exceeded this like 2,500. Actually, I'm going to change this to, this is because the 1,000, right, unit is. So it gets confusing because like it's as if like only 2,500 people, but it's actually, this is 2.5 million people. So go back to the table view, and I'm going to multiply 1,000 to get that original values. So like going to create a calculation standard, and then multiply and 1,000, that's it. And then I'm going to override the original column here instead of creating a new column. And then here you go. So now this number is actually literally 2.5 million. Okay, plus 1,000. And then go back to the chart. And then we have to do the same thing because we create a new step for calculating. So I'm going to move this pin to point to that, data after the calculation. So now you see here on the left-hand side, now it's like when you see 2.5 M, M means million. So like 2.5 million. Okay, so go back to that. What I was saying is basically like female never really exceeded 2.5 million. But now after 2001, somehow jumped to 3 million. And then now it's almost like coming to like the last month, like August, 3.5 million. This is scary. Like what is going on here? And the male is it's already exceeded 2.5, but never exceeded 3 million, but now exceeded 3.5 million. How many? What's this? It's like 3.6 million now. So it's almost like a female and a male came to the almost like the same level. So started it as a female is less than male, but now it's almost like a same level. So I don't know what's going on here. And then you can change this, like for example, legend position, legend, and then I change that to maybe like a top if you like that better. It really depends, personal choice from here. And another thing you could do is now I have these two charts side by side. Sometimes people prefer like on top of each other. What that means, I can change that to like, let's say, select number of columns to 1. That means just one column. So that means the chart is going to be stacked on top of each other. Right. So if I change that to 2, that means the 2 columns. And then in this case, we have 2 charts. So like one chart in the one column, one chart in another column. Another thing is, this is sometimes like people get confused on this, is that when I go to the property and then the axis and then y-axis, right? And then under the scale, there is something called always include 0 in y-axis. If I uncheck this and apply, what's going to happen is now the y-axis scale is not starting from 0. So it's sort of like optimized based on the minimum value and maximum value of that data. And then sometimes like people tell me like, hey, Khan, like that's, you can't do that. You're just kind of like exaggerating by hiding that, number, kind of like a lower number. Well, that's true, but that's actually not true, because if we are using a bar chart, that including a 0 is really important, because what you're doing with the bar chart is that you're comparing the bars lengths. So like when you have like 2 or 3 bars, and then you're comparing with the bar length starting from 0, right? And then it's like on how much bigger, than the other kind of stuff. But so it's important to show all the bars from 0 to top, right? But in the line chart, what our eyes are doing is really just checking the direction, okay? Direction or the angle. Right. So it doesn't matter. It's actually not that important to have the 0 to be part of it in the chart, because all we want to know is like which direction it's going and how steep the direction or the curve is. And then you want to actually compare between these two. Okay. So when you're using a line chart, you don't really have to include the 0, sometime, but at the same time, for sure, you're kind of exaggerating that particular, the section. So, but it's technically, that's not the wrong thing to do. But when you use a bar chart, make sure you include the 0. Okay. So now here's like, again, this looks like a female is like increasing way more than male. And then, but, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, like either way, even the male, to me, like this is like increasing after like this is 2021. I'm not sure like what's this increase. Have you heard of like any explanation about this? It's obviously not really the COVID time, but something happened around after 2021. Is there some special thing happen? Anyway, so this is how you can actually bring in the data. What I wanted to show you is to get the data from Fred, and then you can use a chart to visualize it. You can combine, multiple data sets. And then here, like what I did was like just show these values, but also you can change that to, for example, quick window calculation, check like what's the percentage difference from the period before, all kinds of stuff that you can actually, you can do. And that's it for today's, this week's data. What I wanted to do is I was wondering, like U.S. disability population is exploding. Is that true? And it seems, yeah, I think exploding the word, I don't think is an exaggeration. It's actually, that's what's happening. And you can actually try, using either Explore 3 regular version of Explore 3 or Explore 3 public, which is a free version. Or if you happen to be the student or a teacher at the school, then you can use Explore 3 academic edition, which is also free as well. So let me just do the one promotion here. That we have the data science booster training coming up in November from 13th to 17th. And it's 5 days. Each day has a 2-hour session. So in total, 10 hours. And we start from data basic and stats basic. And also we do the data wrangling, meaning like cleaning up the data, transforming the data, because without it, you can't even visualize, you can't even analyze. So that's a really important part of the data science. So we cover that. And then we're going to move on to like a correlation analysis, the multivariate analysis, building a prediction model, clustering, text analysis, time series forecasting, and so on. So it's a kind of a pretty dense pack. All the sessions been recorded, so you can watch as many as you want. And then right now we are doing the early bird discount. If you enroll before end of this month, September 30th, then you can get 10% off. And if you happen to be a student, you can, on top of that early bird, you can get 50% off. If you're interested in, I strongly recommend apply before September 30 to take advantage of this. All right, that's it. So if you have any questions, please leave the comments below, or you can always reach out to me at expertly.io. Hope this session is valuable. Hope see you in the next video. Bye.